Hello, and thank you for joining us here on the Neutral Zone. I am Phil Milani, joined as always by my partner in crime, my trusty sidekick. Really, the best way to describe this person is my everything. It's at Eric Dalala.
Phil, thanks for having me today, and thanks for giving me my own mic.
Yes, you're welcome. You graduated to be able to hold your own mic. Eric, we're in the Pat Bowlen Fieldhouse, a new setting here for the Neutral Zone. It's kind of nice.
A lot of space. Big office for the podcast studio.
Yeah, this is a big studio.
Yeah.
We had to come over here because we're hiding from the rest of the football team because we're going to talk about some sensitive topics today, like the quarterback competition. We don't want anybody to hear us. You know, if we're back in the main part of the facility, we might say something. Drew might open the door and just like hit Eric in the face.
That's right. So Neutral Zone Nation, we need you to keep this between us. We're going to take a deep dive.
Yeah.
We're going to tell you what you need to know.
Exactly.
Which you might not want to hear it, but you need to know it.
I think that we'll talk about the quarterback competition. We'll talk about expectations for Teddy and this team now. But I also want to dive into a little bit the fan reaction.
Ooh.
Because we posted a video right after the news came out. It got like 1,000 comments. And like the people were very upset.
They were really mad.
And you know, I like to read all the comments. So that took up the rest of my day.
Hey, you didn't do anything else.
I was like, there's too many comments. I can't keep up.
Yeah.
Nothing about my hair, though. So that was kind of disappointing.
No.
Yeah.
Somebody said something mean about me, but that's okay. I can take it.
Yeah, you can take it. I cannot.
Yeah.
But at least you got comments about your haircut.
That's true. Several.
People like the haircut.
He said I looked like Drew Lock.
Before we continue on with the show, though, what happened last week? Where were you?
Phil, last week was a busy week.
It was a busy week.
And we had to push the Neutral Zone a couple of times. We were planning out our new post-game show. Hopefully everybody caught that.
Yeah.
DenverBroncos.com, YouTube.
The YouTube page.
Based on the views, you probably all saw it. But, Phil, we were planning to record Saturday morning before Seattle, or Friday morning before Seattle. And then the great security mishap of 2021 at DIA forced me to leave for my flight about 4 hours early. So
I was just sitting here in our news studio. I was like, we got the news studio. Maybe Eric didn't get the memo about the news studio. And I sat here probably for like 5-6 hours.
The podcast got left behind, and some people were not happy.
John Jornad was not happy. He said that he didn't realize how much he enjoyed the show, how much it was part of his normal weekly routine, and we let him down. We let down NZ Nation, really.
Yeah, and we apologize to all of you. They do say you don't really know what you've got until it's gone.
That's
so
true.
Hopefully you appreciate us a little bit more now. And John, I will say in his email to us, he said, you disappeared because you realized I was right about Drew Lock, that Drew Lock's going to start. John, unfortunately, that's not the case. We hope you keep listening anyway.
A lot of fans and probably a lot of NZ Nation really in that Drew Lock camp. And we're going to just sort of dive into that a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll also have an interview with Jonathon Cooper. Probably outside of the quarterback competition, might be the biggest story of camp. This guy had had to have 4 heart procedures this offseason. He says it's 3.5. That's what he said. That's what as you'll find out in the interview here. But, his football career was almost done.
Yeah.
And, all these teams find out about this heart defect that he's got right before the draft. And so maybe teams don't want to take a chance on him. The Broncos do in the 7th round. I don't think that he was expecting to go in the 7th round. And he shows up here, and now he's sacking quarterbacks.
That's right. And he's kind of an interesting story even without the heart issue, because when he was at Ohio State, he wasn't that productive of a player. Kind of a 5-year senior, played all different spots.
Like was kind captain of kind of guy.
Yeah, he was like but kind of like a journeyman in terms of his role. He was never like that 15-sack guy. And so the fact that you show up in the NFL and you've got a strip sack and another sack in your second preseason game, this kid can play, Phil. I saw some comments. People are like they're buying the Jonathon Cooper stock, saying this guy could be the long-term Von Miller replacement.
Von Miller was even buying into it, talking about Ohio State guys. They just know how to play football.
That's true.
So that comment
Ohio State guys, Northwestern Wildcat guys,
Colorado Buffaloes.
Yeah, those 3 schools really kind of the holy trinity of college football.
Yeah, if you watched the game last week on My 20, Chad Brown was on.
Yeah.
That's a CU Buff. That's my
true.
guy. Yeah. So
no cats anymore on this roster.
Yeah.
Maybe my one bone to pick with George Payton.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll chat.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have a Jonathon Cooper interview, and then we'll talk about who this this third preseason game, who is it most important for? Who needs to really shine here to ensure that they've got a roster spot.
Yeah.
Used to have 4 games. Now you got to be able to do it in 3.
Well, and it'll be a little interesting because the starters, it sounds like, are going to play at least a little bit. And so some of these, previously in the 4th preseason game, those end-of-the-roster guys, they got every snap.
Yep.
They're not going to get quite as many snaps this week, it sounds like, so got to make the most of them.
Eric, and then a special treat here on this episode.
A treat for me?
We've got some voicemails to play.
Oh, let's go.
It's been a while since we've gotten to the comments.
It's a well.
From NZ Nation here, but we've got them today. We've got somebody left a 5-part voicemail, Eric.
He did. It was 15 minutes long.
It was 15 minutes long, and we're going to air all of it. Maybe not,
Stay tuned.
But we'll have a little bit of a tease. So
it could be like a special episode we release, just the voicemails.
Yeah. Exactly. That could be nice. That would be more than 1 hour, though.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're saying, what the heck, these guys play voicemails?
Yeah.
Yes. Leave one yourself. Tell us how you feel about the quarterback competition, 707-NEUTRAL.
Yeah, that's right. Or, Phil, you could leave an email, neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
That could be nice.
That could be really nice.
Hit us up.
Don't worry, Rick. We're getting to the football. We're almost done.
Hit us up on Twitter, @Eric Dalala with an A, @Philmani with a PH, of course.
Non-traditional spellings.
Yeah, thank you. Or just leave a comment here on YouTube if you're watching.
Yeah.
You're like, what's this studio? Maybe you're driving to work, okay, and you're like, new studio? I got to see what this looks like. You put it on YouTube and then leave a comment below.
Yeah, smash the subscribe button.
Smash the subscribe button. Eric, we also had some ideas here. The kind of outside the box ideas.
Yeah.
One of them was, what if we took the neutral zone on the road? Maybe we did like a live performance. Do you think people would like that?
That could be nice. Yeah, Phil, we were thinking not far on the road, but in Denver.
Yes, in Denver,
Maybe go to a nice little brewery or something like that, get an episode cooking. Some of you all could come out and join us.
Let us know. Would you show up for something like that?
Yeah, would you show up and show out?
Yeah. Let us know. Like, if that's something serious, we'll take the Neutral Zone show out on the road. We don't have the budget to go around the country, but in Denver, we could get maybe an off season. Maybe an off season. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The other idea I had was T-shirts, Eric.
Yeah, that's right. Neutral Zone T-shirts, but we need a saying for the back of the shirt. So if you know
what are your favorite sayings that we do?
What saying the Neutral Zone should have on the back of a T-shirt, let us know that too.
Like maybe like my everything.
That's right.
Right on the back of the T-shirt. Maybe like non-traditional spellings.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello. That's an oldie, but a goodie.
Yeah.
So
don't forget that one.
Exactly. So maybe we'll have some T-shirts. Maybe we can give them out of the game.
It could be nice.
This is called what kind of marketing was it?
Guerrilla marketing.
Guerrilla marketing. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, exactly. So maybe some special treats coming up later on. But Eric, let's just dive in. Let's dive into our main topic here. Teddy Bridgewater named the Broncos starting quarterback. He won the competition. It wasn't something that was just the 2 preseason games. This started in the offseason, all the way through training camp, all the practices. Vic Fangio on Wednesday this week feeling confident enough to move forward with Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, and Phil, I think it all comes down to what does this team need right now? And this team, we heard this the very first day of training camp from Joe Ellis, this team needs to win. This team needs to get away from these losing seasons. It doesn't necessarily need a Super Bowl win this year, but it needs to get back to the playoffs. It needs to taste winning again to get kind of the bad mojo that's in the facility from the last couple losing seasons. And Teddy Bridgewater can be that guy. Now, is he going to go out and lead this team to a 15-2, 16-1 record? Probably not. That'd be a tough ask for any quarterback. But the way he plays, his pocket awareness, being able to avoid sacks, having some critical 3rd down or 4th down conversions, being able to get the ball to Jerry Jeudy in space, those are all things that lead me to believe that he can get this roster to 10 or 11 wins and get you into the playoffs. And I get that every fan wants to – I've talked about this a lot over the last few years. Every fan wants to go from 5-11 to Super Bowl contender, and I get that. And there were some moves this offseason maybe you could have made that could have done that. But for most teams, you have to build. And so for the Broncos to take a step in the right direction, get to 10-7, get back in the playoffs, that would be great. And I think Teddy Bridgewater can do that.
I mean, the way the roster is built, though, if they get good quarterback play, they could not just make the playoffs, but maybe even win a couple of games in the playoffs. Who knows what happens? Single elimination tournament Eric. So maybe some surprises could happen. But, yeah, I mean, I just think that if you look at this Broncos team, if the way that it's built, the way this team is going to win games is really good defensive play, and on offense, get the ball to your playmakers. Just get the ball to Jerry Jeudy and let him create. Air it out to KJ Hamler and let him do his thing. Get the ball to Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Albert O, all these guys. Hand it off to Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. And Teddy Bridgewater has shown that he can really do that. He can execute this offense the way that this coaching staff wants them to do it. And, when I look at the competition overall, Vic Fangio on Wednesday said this was a case where two quarterbacks played really well and you just had to pick one. It wasn't like one really outplayed the other. It wasn't like both underperformed. He said both guys played really well and he just had to pick Teddy. When I look at the quarterback competition, I'm sort of like, Teddy's been who we thought Teddy would be. He's been exactly, at least who I thought he would be. I think the bigger question was, okay, how much better is Drew Lock? How much more improved has he been? And let's wait to just see. And then once we have a good idea of, okay, let's see what kind of steps Drew Lock made. Is that better than what Teddy provides? And the answer now is no.
Yeah, and I know that must be tough for especially people who have been in Drew Lock's corner to hear, because Vic Fangio said on Wednesday, Drew's gotten better in every area of his game. He's better at throwing the football accuracy-wise. He's better with his footwork. He's better at reading defenses. And this competition was super, super close. And so I can understand the reaction of, well, if it's super close and Drew's better and Drew has this upside and he's younger, why not go with Drew? Well, to me, there's a couple answers. One, I think watching, there is a little bit of separation. Teddy, I think, has been more consistent over the course of training camp and these preseason games, processes things a little bit more quickly. Some things kind of have gone wrong operationally when Drew Lock has been out there at times. And so that's one reason. And then the other thing, like you mentioned, I just don't know that you see the jump at times, but consistency-wise, I don't know if that's still there for Drew, and maybe he gets there at some point, but you cannot lose, especially this year. If you want to make the playoffs, you probably have to go 3-0, 2-1 in the first 3 games against the Giants, Jaguars, and Jets. Teddy Bridgewater will not lose you those games, and unfortunately, the thing that has plagued Drew Lock is turnovers, and I don't know, based on what I've seen in camp and in the preseason, that's gone away. Here's a little stat that our friend Ben Swanson came up with.
He's still trying out.
But this is a good stat. This is a check mark in his
he's
category.
Like, hey, do you guys want to use this? I looked this up. I spent all night researching this, and we'll use it.
So more than 27% of Drew Lock's starts, he's had at least 2 interceptions. Teddy Bridgewater, in his 49 career starts, 14% of those games has had 2 interceptions. And then if you kind of look at it, Teddy Bridgewater is also better in terms of games throwing no interceptions. I know you've kind of a counterpoint here that Drew Lock has more games with multiple touchdowns than Teddy Bridgewater. But Teddy Bridgewater's not going to wreck the game for you. You can throw an interception, you can survive. You can lose one possession, you'll be okay. When that snowballs and all of a sudden you've turned it over a couple times, that means you could lose a game that you have to win to stay in playoff contention. Like say you're in a close game at home with the Ravens, and that ends up being the deciding factor, and you turn it over a couple times against a good football team like that, you're not going to win. And so I can understand wanting to go with the guy that's just going to kind of be the smart play. He's a veteran for a young offense, and go that direction. And some people will say it's safe. It's also smart, in my opinion.
Yeah, and, I think when I look at Drew's game, he was asked, okay, where did you improve the most? He said pre-snap. Having a plan with the ball pre-snap, saying, okay, I'm going to go here. If the defense does this, I'll have to react, but this is my plan. He said that's where he really focused on and really tried to get better on. And when I think about Drew's game, I have seen him get better in that area, but some of the other things that I wanted to see a jump in, I haven't quite seen that. And for me, it's being the same person every single day. And, when you watch that Minnesota game and he goes out there and, goes deep to KJ, he's got 2 touchdowns, he's riding high. We knew Drew can do that. He did that even as a rookie, in that Texans game, really played well. In that fourth quarter last year against the Chargers, played really well. That game in Carolina, played really well. And so I was like, okay, we knew that Drew could do that. Let's see what he can do in game number 2. And he went out there. That first drive did not go the way he wanted it to. Couple sacks, 3 and out. I was really interested, okay, is he going to be able to put that stuff behind him and still be able to really move the ball and score touchdowns? You could sense that he was getting frustrated, and things just they were able to do a nice little 2-minute thing there where they kicked a field goal, but you could just sense that he wasn't the same guy he was against the Vikings a week earlier. And that to me is where Teddy really excels, where he's been the same person every single day coming out here. Of course, he has a better day, worse day, but it's not so drastic. And for this Broncos team, they need that consistency.
And we haven't really seen Teddy fail in games yet for the Broncos. But what I've seen in practice is that he could have a bad set of reps. Maybe he has 3 to 5 plays where there's a couple incompletions or there's a false start penalty or it doesn't go quite his way. What you tend to see is that as practice goes on, he rebounds from that. And he doesn't let one bad series snowball to impact an entire practice, and you hope that carries over to a game. And listen, Phil, he played – I know people don't like this because Carolina didn't have the success at the beginning of the season, but he played well at the quarterback spot to begin last year before his injury. Obviously, he was very good as a young quarterback his second year in Minnesota, and other than that, we just don't really know a whole lot about Teddy. I mean, for a guy that's been in the league, this is his 8th season, only 49 starts. I mean, and only 2 of those years were really as the starting guy. That's just not a lot of information to go off of, and so you hope that in a game scenario he's able to do that. I think he will kind of be able to stabilize, because that's really what I think is important. You go 3 and out once. You can't go 3 and out 3 times in a row, or you can't go an entire quarter without scoring. And so to me, that's what's important. I think Teddy Bridgewater can bring that to this team.
Yeah, most definitely. And I guess that's a nice transition here into what are some expectations now here that the Broncos have named Teddy Bridgewater the starting quarterback. We know how crucial that opening stretch of the season is. What are the expectations for Teddy? What does he need to do to say, okay, the Broncos made the right choice here?
Yeah, make the playoffs. I mean, if the Broncos make the playoffs and if they win a playoff game or two, I think we're going to be sitting here at this time next year and be talking about Teddy Bridgewater potentially having another opportunity to lead this team. Or, maybe who knows what happens. Maybe another veteran becomes available, or you draft a guy and Teddy kind of serves as that. Who knows? But if you make the playoffs, he's at least put himself in that conversation. And here's, I think, how he does it, Phil. To me, everyone focuses on touchdown to interception ratio. That's important, but I don't expect Teddy to go out there and throw for 27, 28 touchdowns, because that's not who he's been in his career. I think if he throws 20 touchdowns and 8 to 10 picks and even has a 2-to-1 ratio like that, that'd be pretty good. But what's more important to me, Phil, is can the Broncos be in the top half of the league in third down conversions? Can they be in the top half of the league in scoring touchdowns in the red zone? The Broncos are going to have to be really good situationally, because they're going to be in a lot of close games. And so if you can do that with Teddy under center and he can make those important throws, that to me is good enough quarterback play to get done what you need. You don't have to throw 35 touchdowns to be an effective NFL quarterback. It helps. Certainly that's what's going to put you in that 15-2 conversation, but if you had a 20 and 10 touchdown to interception ratio, but you were successful in the red zone, you were successful on third down, you can win 10 or 11, 12 games that way.
So you're looking at more as team success. Hey, that's going to be more reflective of whether or not Teddy was the right choice here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if Teddy goes out, because the reason I say that is because this team hinges on the quarterback position. This is not a situation where the defense is bad and it's like, okay, well, Teddy played well, but the defense is so bad that it gave up a late score or a bunch of points. And it's not like Teddy played well, but there's no weapons around him. The rest of this roster is really good. And so, yeah, to me it's dependent on the quarterback to have team success. And so if there is team success, that means he's probably done enough.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think that if the a 2-to-1 ratio, I think is nice. Maybe like a little more than 20, I would say would be okay. I feel good about the decision here, but I completely agree. If this team can start out 3-1 and just feel some confidence and keep that kind of momentum going throughout the season, people are going to feel a lot better about this decision. They're going to say, okay, this was the right move here. I think that for Teddy, just get the ball in your playmakers' hands. Just give them a chance, and I think that a guy like Jerry Jeudy's probably pretty happy about this decision.
Yeah, because he's coming across the middle and he's open, and Teddy Bridgewater has had a great connection with him since the day he showed up, really, at UCL Training Center. A couple other things I'll judge success by. Teddy's been so good in the pocket, not getting sacked, being aware of when
Tom Brady.
Exactly. When to get rid of the ball. That can change games for the Broncos, even if it's just a throwaway or being able to step up, run for a few yards. We saw that against the Vikings there in Minnesota. Teddy ran for a touchdown that ended up being called back, but great awareness of when to. He's shown a good awareness of when to step up and throw versus when to step up and take off down the field.
Crafty.
A wily veteran.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The other thing, of course, is can he stay healthy? Because he's missed some time during his career. Obviously, he had the big injury, but I think he missed a couple games last year, if I'm correct.
Well, he got hurt last year, and then that's when things started to sort of tail off for him.
And so can he stay 100%? Can he stay healthy? Because not that I wouldn't feel worried necessarily if Drew Lock came in, because I do agree that he might be the best backup quarterback in the NFL now. Like he's more than capable of stepping in. But I just think for this team to get to where you need to go, you want the same starter every week to build some consistency, not have to worry about all that kind of drama that goes with your quarterback being hurt. And so
that has not happened for the Broncos since 2014.
Yeah,
where the same quarterback started every single game. I do think that.
I mean 2017 was a little different. 2018, I believe Case Keenum started every game.
Did he? I don't think so.
I believe so. I'll fact check here in a second. But 2017, that happened because that was not injury related. That was performance related, with Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, Brock Osweiler, all performance related.
Well, I thought Trevor got a little dinged up there too at one point.
Toward the end, but they had already made the change.
Some change, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the hope is that you have the same guy here for 17 games, because that's what's going to make you successful. Anytime your starter, your leader, especially if you start like 3-1 or something like that, and then you lose the guy for a couple weeks, it's tough to just, I think, get back in that flow.
I think especially since Teddy and Drew sort of play different style.
Yeah.
I mean, the personnel groupings are a little bit different out there. Eric, are you looking up the stat?
I am. I'm looking it up right now.
Thank
you.
I'm
just sending a text message.
Yeah, well, I just never know. Sometimes you kind of snooze, you doze off a little bit when I start talking. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, Teddy won this job, so you want him to play.
Yeah.
So I think that's just sort of, you want that continuity at the quarterback position. But, yeah, I think that if the Broncos can start out hot and continue to roll and keep going, then I think that you'll just feel a lot better about the decision and say, okay, this team is winning, this team is in the mix. I feel comfortable looking back at it and saying that they made the right choice. If they struggle out of the gate, those rumors, there's maybe some noise from outside, they're going to say, it's time we go back to Drew, that kind of thing. You just don't want to get into that situation.
Yeah. First fact check, Keenum did start all 16 games in 2018. Dang. It was a nice try at a stat.
I forgot that. Some of those years just all kind of blend together for me.
Do.
My apologies.
No, let's say Teddy stays healthy. There are not many games on the schedule that I don't think are winnable. I look at
if he stays losable or aren't winnable. I think you said there's not many games that are winnable.
Correction, there's not many games that are not winnable.
Got
those first three, like I said, I think you can go 3-0 very realistically. The Ravens and Steelers, those are tough games. I think you can win both of those. The Washington football team, Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles, I think you can get a couple of those. So you go through the schedule. I mean, there's some hard games. Thursday night at Cleveland is going to be a really tough game. At Kansas City, at the Chargers, who I think is going to be a good team. I know you're not sold on Justin Herbert, but
that's not true. I just said there might be some, and I'm sold on him. I'm just saying a coaching change could make things
It's true.
I'm just interested.
Yeah,
to see.
you don't
I'm
have to
not,
be sold on him.
I am sold on
Okay.
it. I'm not crazy person. You're the crazy one who thinks he shouldn't have been Rookie of the Year.
That's true. I do feel that way. That was a bad decision by the voters. But like the other side of it, say you start somehow, things go poorly, you lose in New York, there's a trap game on the East Coast against the Jaguars, it's hot out there, you lose that one, you come home and you lose to the Ravens, and you're sitting at 1-3. At that point, or the next week, 1-4.
Pressure to make a change.
Well, and at that point, why not make a change? Because at that point, you're again in the situation where the playoffs may not seem realistic. Then you say, Drew, this is your one last chance to, one, save a playoff season, and two, prove that you can be the guy. And then at the end of the year, you're either bad and in position to go get a guy the next year, or Drew Lock has taken that step, and you say, okay, well, we're glad Drew got that opportunity, but yeah, I hope and I think that they're going to start strong, but if you don't, then I do think it's fair to go to Drew pretty early. I wouldn't wait until like week 10 to go back to Drew. If you're sitting there with 1 or 2 wins and you've got 5-6 losses,
it doesn't make sense.
Go with Drew.
Let's transition into talking about a little bit of Drew Lock here. First of all, must have been a terrible day, a sickening day for him. Just to he even mentioned it. He said to get that news and then go into the team meeting, that's a terrible feeling, especially when he was the guy all last year. He's been the guy his entire life, essentially. High school, college, first start of his NFL career here. So I do feel bad for him. Great that he came out and met the media and faced some of those questions. I thought his opening statement was really strong. But Eric, what I want to talk about is the fan response here to the decision. For some reason, a lot of people comment Drew won this job in training camp, even though they haven't been out at training camp watching him. They feel like maybe Drew played better in the games, and the reason why he didn't get the job was because the offensive line, there's some conspiracy theories that they let him get sacked. What I'm wondering is, why are fans so strong in his corner, and why can't they just trust the decision here?
Well, I think the reason... Those are two different answers, I guess. The reason, I'll start with the can't trust the decision. It's because this team hasn't been very good the last couple of years. And so you just kind of, I think you go into a season, if you believe something strongly and they go the other way, whether that's not drafting Justin Fields or Mac Jones, or whether that's not being able to trade for one of these veteran quarterbacks, you just kind of assume that things are going to go wrong. And that's probably going to be the feeling until this team starts winning again. And I understand that. I don't like all the vitriol that Teddy Bridgewater got, or that this coaching staff got, or the organization got for making the choice, but I do understand that fans are frustrated, and that maybe goes into why Drew Lock was such a popular choice, is because he represents the possibility of getting back to competing for Super Bowls. And right now, and maybe it's understandable, people don't think Teddy can do that. He's got to prove that he can get you to championship level football, championship caliber football. But fans, for whatever reason, think that Drew could be that guy. He's got that potential. He's got that upside. That's the same reason that you fall in love with a quarterback in the draft, a Justin Fields or a Mac Jones, is you think he's got upside. He could be that long-term guy. And I think fans here, because of the way the quarterback deal has gone the last few years, where Trevor Siemian in 2016, Case Keenum in 2018, Joe Flacco in 2019, a lot of short-term fixes. I think people are tired of the short-term fix. They want a long-term guy. You can buy their jersey. You can watch this guy kind of grow up and develop the way you did with John Elway, the way that the Chargers right now are with Justin Herbert, the Chiefs are with Patrick Mahomes. I think fans, you as a fan, I think you want that. You want to be able to have that, and so that's what Drew Lock represented. I think that's where all the kind of frustration comes from. But my counter to that, Phil, would be that 3 months ago people were like, get rid of Drew Lock. And they were like, go with Fields and Mac Jones. And so to me that means it's not exactly about Drew. It's about the more wanting something long-term that's more stable.
Yeah. It's just interesting to me because at one point Teddy Bridgewater was that guy. In Minnesota, there was a feeling that he was going to take them back to the promised land, and the fact that people are just sort of dismissing that as a possibility for him is very interesting to me. And I do think that there's some of that with the way the draft went down, that maybe they said, okay, fine, the only way I could swallow this is if they believe Drew can take that next step and become that guy. I do think maybe there's some of that. And I also think maybe like his style of play, that gunslinger kind of play, go down the field, they like some of that. I just think that it's been so fascinating to me because they've not been out of practice, and they are just sort of trying to put these pieces together and then just dismissing that Teddy's not going to be able to do it. That was just really interesting to me, and people are like really upset about this. Like really upset, and that kind of just struck me as odd and interesting.
Well, I do think anger, being upset, that's better than apathy. And one of the things you like about this fan base, you love about this fan base, is that they care. Because there are some fan bases that they're checked out when they're not good. If you've missed the playoffs for 5 years, they've kind of just said, hey, I'm done with this. When they're good again, I'll tune back in. Broncos fan base is not like that, and so that's appreciated. I will say one thing in Teddy's defense is that if Drew Lock stepped up and was better than he was last year, he improved in every area. Pat Shurmur said, he's miles ahead of where he was.
And Teddy still won the job.
Teddy's better than that. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Because Drew Lock a few years ago went 4-1 as a starter. And then last year, toward the end of the year, didn't have the wins but played pretty well. And you ended up 5-11 last year, 7-9 the year before. To me, if there's a substantial, significant step forward there in quarterback play, that means that getting to 10-11 wins shouldn't be out of the question at all. But I'll say this, Phil, as a Northwestern fan, I'm used to getting no respect ahead of the season. You're probably the same way as a CU fan. You're not going to get the respect you deserve. You've got to win to get respected. They're going to put Iowa ahead of Northwestern. They're going to put Nebraska ahead of them. They're going to put Indiana. This is now a Northwestern podcast.
This took an interesting.
We're
talking about Drew Lock.
There's a point here. This is about Teddy Bridgewater.
Got it. Oh, okay.
When Northwestern wins some games, they then end up in the top 25 when they've earned it. Teddy Bridgewater, when he goes out and starts 3-1, I think people are going to wake up and say, "Hey, this guy can be the guy. This guy can get us back to the playoffs. He's playing well. Let's get behind him." But he's going to have to earn it. It's not just going to be given to him here, and I think that's partially because he's viewed as a short-term fix. He's got to prove that he can be the long-term guy, and that's one thing that busy press conference the other day. Didn't have a chance to get to that particular question, but I think at some point Teddy needs to be asked, do you think you can be a multi-year starter here? Obviously, we'll talk to him again before the regular season. It'll be interesting to see what he has to say.
He said he wants to leave an impact on the organization.
Yeah,
so
an everlasting impact.
Yeah.
That's a long
What does that mean to you?
That means a banner behind us, Phil.
Yeah, exactly. The last thing I'll say about Drew Lock is, do you feel like he got a fair opportunity? Because I think that when you don't win a job like this, your mindset can just go straight to negative town.
Yeah.
Where we don't want to go there.
One-way ticket.
Nobody wants to go over there.
Hard to leave. Not a lot of trains leaving negative town.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of one-ways in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think there may be some people who think, okay, he got hurt his rookie year. He played the 5 games, played well. Okay, then the COVID situation happened. No off season. Last year was kind of just a weird year. Even at the end of the year, you said he played a little bit better. And then everybody wants to make this comparison to Josh Allen, and said, okay, well, it was really his 3rd year where he made this jump. Do you think that Drew, okay, what's next for him here? How can he rejuvenate his career? And 2, do you think he got a fair shake at this? Because life in the NFL, it can come at you pretty fast.
So you're asking did he get a fair chance during this training camp competition? You
just
mean
in general.
In his career, did
exactly.
he get a fair chance?
Are they moving on from him, moving on in the sense that they've picked Teddy Bridgewater to win this? Did they do that too fast?
It's a difficult question. Well, let me say before we go to that, Josh Allen, an entirely different situation. In 2019, I was all aboard, as we entered 2020, all aboard the Josh Allen comparisons. But Josh Allen in year 2 got his team to the playoffs, and he played better than Drew Lock did last year. So while he took a jump, the place he took a jump from was higher. Drew Lock has not led this team to the playoffs. And so to kind of assume that he's going to go crazy in year 3 is maybe a leap of faith that's a little bit too big. Do I think Drew Lock got the ideal opportunity? No. Like you said, he hurt his thumb. I think he probably would have started earlier that year based on how things were going if he was healthy. He had a COVID year. They fired Rich Scangarello, which I think consistency there in an offensive system that fit Drew Lock, I think, pretty well would have helped him.
That's something that Josh Allen really benefited from in Buffalo. Same coaching staff, consistency there.
Yeah. So he played well under Rich Scangarello. They decided to move on to Pat Shurmur. Didn't have an offseason to install the offense. He goes out, gets hurt very early in the season, kind of has like a few weeks where he's trying to get back into the game, doesn't go so well. And by the end of the season, you're already out of playoff contention. He's playing well, but you're losing. I mean, it's tough. But that's how life in the NFL goes now. I mean, you have to show early that you are the guy. Tua Tagovailoa was, a top 5 pick?
Nice job there.
Thank you. Yeah, apparently it's Tango Vailoa.
I don't know. There's a lot. Yeah,
I don't want to get an
Phil
angry
Yates,
letter.
Yeah.
He started like half the season last year, and people were calling for them to draft a quarterback this year. So it's not, you don't get 3 or 4 years anymore to figure that out, and maybe we're missing out on some of these quarterbacks, but I also think that's just the nature of the league, that you've got to prove it quickly. You've got to be Justin Herbert. You've got to be Joe Burrow, where you show quickly you can be the guy. You know, if you're a Patrick Mahomes where you get a year to sit, when you have the opportunity, you've got to go do it. And so it might not be fair, but that's just the way life is. And Drew Lock was drafted high enough. He's shown enough, I think, that his NFL career is not done necessarily. This is not a Paxton Lynch scenario where I think he's going to be out of the league here. He's too talented for that. He's shown an aptitude to playing well that Paxton just didn't show during his time here. It wouldn't surprise me if he starts a few games this year based on just the fact that quarterbacks do get injured. If this team doesn't play well, he could start. And then if Teddy Bridgewater is a starter all year and plays well, he very well could go somewhere else where he gets a chance to start. So I don't think they're giving up on him too soon, because this roster is too good to kind of go through this experiment again in the event that it doesn't work. Because his best games, Phil, have been against that Texans game, that Panthers game, bad defenses. We haven't seen him really excel against a top-level NFL defense. We haven't seen people talk about the potential. I haven't seen that potential reached on a consistent basis. And so if there were some of those flashes, maybe you convince yourself, one more year, let's try it one more time. But we haven't seen it. I know it hasn't been ideal, but he started 18 games, did get a little bit of a chance, and he's still here. Could still get that at some point. So, no, I don't think it's unfair, and I just want to touch on the training camp thing. This has not been rigged. There's been some talk that, like, Vic Fangio didn't go for it on 4th down here, or he let Teddy play more with the starters against the Seahawks than Drew did against the Vikings. Well, Drew got to go for a 4th down in Minnesota and threw an incomplete pass. If he completes that, you've got 3 touchdown drives on 3 drives, and now it's an even more impressive stat line. In camp, they've gotten the same opportunities, the same number of reps, basically. Vic Fangio, it sounds like, has kept an open mind. Now, it does sound like they decided if it was going to be close, they were going to go with Teddy. But you just got to honor that decision. But I do think Drew was given every opportunity to prove that he could be the guy.
Yeah, and when Teddy got in with the twos against the Vikings, he really made a lot of plays with Trinity Benson, right? Yep. So Teddy did prove himself there. I just think it's easy to get down on Drew Lock a little bit just with the misfortunes of the injuries. He even mentioned them the other day. He was like, I think he said they were freak injuries, things that have like never happened to him before. And so you're like, gosh, this guy's just had some bad luck. Even the other day in the game, he got stepped on. He was like, gosh, if I don't get stepped on in that situation, I don't fall over, who knows what could happen. All of these things, you kind of start to say, woe is me. And I think that you could head down into a negative town. I agree with you, though, Eric. Wouldn't be surprised if he had a couple of shots here this season to come out and be a starter, really show what he can do. And, I think that one thing we've learned in the NFL is that anything is possible. Nothing is permanent. you could go out and spark something, and they ride the hot hand. Like even Brock Osweiler came in that 2015 season, played pretty well, and there was some debate on whether or not they should ride with him into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So you just never know what's going to happen in this game. So let's just see what shakes out here in this season.
Yeah, that could be the most dramatic thing to happen this season is if Teddy starts the year well, gets hurt, has to miss a few weeks. Drew comes in and plays well, and you keep winning.
Right back in the same spot.
And then you Teddy's healthy again. You got to decide who do we go with. We're back to even Steven.
Drama.
Yeah.
Pretty damn close.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're right back to it. So, all right, that's our luck here at what happened with the quarterback situation, how everything has shaken out. I think that's enough talk. I think we're ready to just put that in the past now and start to look forward to this 2021 season.
How about Rip? Got himself a tut.
Good old Rip got a tut. Yeah, that was pretty nice.
That was nice.
We'll see what happens with him.
Yeah.
Maybe a practice squad, I think.
Yeah,
I think so. So let's go to my interview now with Jonathon Cooper, the second biggest storyline, maybe. I don't know, maybe the Garrett Bowles, Bradley Chubb thing, maybe, but I like the Jonathon Cooper story.
You like the positivity.
Yeah. What a story here. We go all the way back to what happened pre-draft, and he takes us up to what's happening right now. So let's get to that with Jonathon Cooper. Jonathon just wrapped up a long practice here in the afternoon heat, and then you got some more work after that. What's your mindset right now?
Just keep getting better. It's just don't stop. I don't really like to listen to a lot of people. Just ask my coaches and ask my teammates how I kind of get better and get extra work every single day, and I do that with Malik Reed every single day after practice.
It seems like those guys have really taken you under their wing. Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Malik Reed. How are they making you better?
Man, they're doing everything they can, whether it's coaching up my stance, whether it's hand placement, or it's coaching me on my pass rush, even asking them about plays. Every question I have, I go to them, and they always give me with a good answer. I really rely on them, and they've been a great mentors, great big brothers to me this whole entire process.
You've sort of been one of the big storylines here in camp. Can you take me back to before the draft? You find out about your heart. All the teams find out about that. I mean, what was going through your mind at that point?
Yeah, it was hard. It was really hard. But I've been through adversity before in my life, and I just told myself to keep going. And when I found out about the hard stuff and the draft was coming up, I knew it might affect me. But I said, no matter what happens, just keep going, just take it day by day. That's all we can do. And I never lost faith. And I'm thankful that the Broncos took a chance on me. And like I said, I'm going to give them everything I got.
What was that like, finding out at that point and then just sitting around the first couple of days of the draft?
Yeah. Well, first the sitting around a couple of days was brutal. I mean, that was brutal. Just sitting there, you have friends, family, obviously, just waiting to hear your name called. It's weird, it's a weird feeling. And, it got down to those, last rounds, and I was like, man, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm probably not going to get drafted. But then when I finally did get that phone call, I was with my mom at the time. We were on a walk because I had to get away from the TV. But got that call, and I just felt incredibly blessed and grateful. I told myself all I need is a shot, and I'll make the most out of it, and that's that.
And then what happened after that? Then you had to get your procedure then, huh, after that?
Yeah, then I had 3 heart surgeries after that. Ended up missing rookie minicamp and OTAs and all that stuff, and that was another hard process because, obviously rookie minicamp is when all the rookies come. You're supposed to go out there and kind of show yourself, and I feel like I didn't get to do that, And on top of that, I was going through surgeries, so I had to recover from that. But everybody here was supportive. They knew what I was going through, obviously, and they just was like, when you're ready, you'll be fine, and just keep going, keep working hard, and that's what I did.
Was it supposed to be 3 surgeries, or did the first one not take the way it was supposed to, or how did that all work?
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be 3 at all. Just wanted to go in there, kind of see. The first one, wanted to go in there and see what was going on, see if they could fix it right there. Mm-hmm. Didn't work. The second time they went in there, they tried to fix it. Didn't work. So I was like, oh, man. Yeah, the third one I went in there, it kind of worked. And then, I normally say 3.5, 4, because, the same day I had to get another surgery. So, that day of my third surgery, I came out of surgery for like 2 hours or 3 hours, then went back in again, and then I came back and then they fixed it. Yeah.
Were you nervous that like maybe your career would be over at that point?
Yeah, I mean, obviously those thoughts pop up always. They were there. I don't know. I just was, I left it up to the man upstairs and just like kept praying, and I figured everything will be fine. And when it comes down, whether I could play football again or whether I couldn't, but I mean, obviously I'm out here doing what I love to do, and I couldn't be happier.
Why do you think the Broncos took a chance on you, man? It seems like other teams maybe got scared off, but the Broncos, they were like, no, we like this guy.
I don't know. I don't know. You're going to have to ask the GM, Coach Vic. You're going to have to ask them why they took a chance on me, but I'm just happy that they did.
And then you come out here and you get some training, working out, you try to get caught up. I mean, how was that process?
Oh, that was hard. Just getting used to the altitude on top of my heart, like feeling like weird, like it just got operated on, obviously. So, running was weird. I had to get adjusted to all the wind and the altitude here, but I am now, and I feel great. I feel better than I've ever felt before. I feel like I'm in good shape, feel strong, feel fast, and I'm in pretty good shape. Obviously, you saw out there that practice, man. I was running around. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's more than 90 degrees. The sun's beating down on you, man, and you're doing it.
Yeah, man. Like I said, couldn't be happier, man.
How are you seeing – just a couple more for you here. How are you seeing things out there? I mean, is the game super fast, or is it slowing down, or where are you?
I feel like it's slowing down for me. I came into a new position. Obviously, I played a defensive end in college with my hand in the dirt. Now I'm standing up playing outside linebacker, so that means I have to get used to dropping and have to get used to covering more, as long as seeing more things. But the more and more I play it, the more reps I do, and that's what the guys tell me. Just like the more experience, the more reps I do, the better I get, and that's how I feel. The more I'm out there covering, the more I'm out there just playing football, the better I feel in my position.
Is it weird that Von Miller's like on the other side?
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's like cool to play with all these guys. Like I was sitting watching these guys. Von, obviously, the GOAT, right? So, and then Bradley Chubb. I've been watching him when I was in high school, watching him in college, and then Malik Reed, seeing what he's done. Like, now I'm with those guys, and I couldn't ask for better mentors for real.
But does Von ever do something where you're like, wait, how did you do that?
Always. That's why he got it. That's why his name's Von Miller. For real.
Well, Jonathon, I really appreciate your time. Your story is awesome, and best of luck moving forward here, man.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
My thanks to Jonathon Cooper for chatting after what was a very long practice under some afternoon heat, Eric. They've been practicing in the afternoon this week. You think that's the, get ready for a game in Jacksonville or something like that?
Get calloused. I mean, the practices this week have been longer than the training camp practices, and it's a lot hotter out there.
In the afternoon, yeah. There's got to be a reason. Toughness.
I think he said getting on a regular season schedule, getting used to practicing in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You're going to kick off in New York in the afternoon, in Jacksonville at 1 p.m. You want to get ready for that.
Yeah, exactly. But Jonathon Cooper, what a story. I mean, sitting around during the draft, a lot of players have that similar type of story, but for him, just not knowing if he's ever going to be right, that must have been a tough weekend for him.
Yeah, and I love these stories where a guy is really good at football and also a really good guy. And Jonathon Cooper seems like that 100%. Sometimes these stories, they're nice, but the guy's not any good at football. He's not going to make the team, or he's not going to make an impact. Jonathon Cooper could make an impact this year. I mean,
he kind of needs to. If you look at the way these pass rushers are set up, Von and Bradley Chubb, you don't expect Von to be out there all 3 downs every single drive, They're going to have to lean on guys like Malik Reed and probably Jonathon Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a 2-3 sacks, maybe 4. I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility for him. If he's, as a rotational guy, he's probably not playing a ton of snaps, so maybe 20 per game, because Vic Fangio says, I want my starters to play 90 snaps, 90% of the snaps. So, we'll have to see how that works out. But he's good enough when he gets his opportunity to make it happen.
Like I sort of think back to with DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller, and then you had Shaq Barrett and Shane Ray too there.
Yep.
Those guys all got in the mix. They all played a lot of football and made plays, timely plays really that season. And I sort of see a similar type of thing where Jonathon Cooper is going to have to play some football this year.
Yeah, definitely.
So a cool story there. So thank you, Jonathon Cooper, for spending some time there with us. Eric, let's talk about some of those 7th-round picks, some of those guys on the back end of the roster here that really, this third preseason game, this is going to be their final opportunity because roster cutdowns 3 days after that. This is their chance to really go out there and leave a lasting impression where they make that decision harder.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think you got to look at the wide receiver position and the cornerback position in particular. Trinity Benson, Seth Williams, Tyree Cleveland, Kendall Hinton are probably 4 guys competing for maybe one spot, potentially 2 if they keep 7 receivers, but kind of unusual to do that. I believe they did it last year. You got to show you can be good on special teams. I think that's the clear thing from this week with Vic Fangio. Special teams was not good enough. Especially the coverage units tackling was not good enough. He's going to lean toward picking guys for this roster that can tackle. To me, that's an advantage for guys like Tyree Cleveland, Seth Williams, bigger-bodied guys that can run down there, make that hit, get somebody on the ground. And then at the cornerback position, Phil, you've got kind of your top 5 with Ojemudia, who's currently hurt. Sounds like that's going to go into the regular season. So maybe you keep a couple extra. Maybe you keep him for one day and then put him on IR next Wednesday or something like that. But Nate Hairston, Kerry Vincent, those are a couple of the guys that probably are battling for that spot. One play, you talk about what gets your attention. And Vic Fangio has said it can't just be the splash plays, but an interception for a Kerry Vincent, a touchdown catch for a Seth Williams. That could be all the difference in finding a place on this team.
And I think that, you think about those plays. For me, the Seth Williams play where he caught that off-schedule thing from Drew Lock there. He takes that ball, shows his athleticism, bursts down the field. That lasts in your memory a little bit where you're like, gosh, this guy could really be a playmaker. This guy can do things out there on the field. And I think if you make plays like that in preseason games, that's how you're going to really separate yourself. And Tyree Cleveland, I've been expecting more from him. Just haven't really seen those big plays out in training camp. Haven't seen him in the games. He's been battling a little bit of an injury here. But when you're in this competition, you got to show what you can do here. And gosh, in my mind, it's going to be really hard to keep Trinity Benson off this roster after the preseason that he's had, after the training camp. He's been making plays out there. How many times during our recap show did you say, gosh, the play of the day here was Bridgewater finding Trinity Benson for a long play, and, he's had the touchdowns in the games. I know the special teams is going to be a big factor in that he doesn't really have that big body, but he runs crisp routes. He's a smart player out there. He catches everything that comes his way. That is going to be a tough decision.
It is. And, Vic Fangio has talked about he's got to show up every single day, every single game. Can't have a practice where you don't, play to your best just because you're up against it as one of these guys, former undrafted player, trying to make a name for himself. I think he would still get through to the practice squad. So that's a possibility. And, yeah, because of the special teams, we're at punt returner, which is what he would primarily do, I believe. You've got KJ Hamler, Deontay Spencer, obviously the starter. Bryce Callahan can step in and catch punts. So I don't know even if he's on the roster how Trinity Benson is active on game day. And so at that point you might have to consider, hey, we need somebody who can run down the field and hit somebody. Might not be Trinity, but yeah, it just shows you how tough it is to make the roster as one of these back-end guys because you can do everything right and still not have a guaranteed spot.
Yeah. When you think about the wide receivers right now, you think Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick, probably a Deontay Spencer, and then you get into that spot where you're just not sure what's going to happen. So,
yeah. And one good thing for one player on this roster is you're probably not keeping 3 quarterbacks this year.
Yeah.
So that's one extra spot. So somebody, whether it's a corner, an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, you might get a job because the Broncos are, in all likelihood, only going to keep 2 quarterbacks.
The safety position is also pretty interesting there because you got P.J. Locke, Caden Stearns has played really well, and then a draft pick in Jamar Johnson too.
Yeah, and Trey Marshall, a guy that's been around for a while. He's injured right now, and I don't know if that's going to last into the regular season. But yeah, you could see a guy like Jamar Johnson, who was drafted in the 5th round, get cut here, and because of his draft status, he could be gone. He could be picked up by somebody else. Caden Stearns, I think, should be a lock to make this team. He's played really well. And P.J. Locke, not to double lock there, but I would go with Caden Stearns and P.J. Locke as those two guys right now behind Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons. They've earned it out on the field, and I mean, quite frankly, that COVID-19 10-day window where Jamar Johnson couldn't be here, that put him behind. He hasn't been able to catch up.
And the thing about those two guys is they've played with a physical. They've brought that element, that nastiness out there. I know that's something that really Vic Fangio values. So they've been able to bring that to the table. And, it's a little bit weird this preseason, not having that 4th game where none of the starters playing. You really have an opportunity as a back end of the roster type of guy to go and show out. Now we're talking about maybe a half you're going to have a chance there. So, you just got to make the most of your opportunities. And the good thing for the Broncos is these decisions are getting harder. That means that the roster is getting better and the depth is being built up.
Well, and now you're not convinced that if you let go of somebody that they're going to be around to go to your practice squad. That's good. You want to be one of those teams where you're sweating it out on that Wednesday, seeing who claims your guys, because that means your roster is strong. And Phil, we've seen the last couple of years, maybe even the last 3, maybe 1 or 2 guys total have been claimed. The Broncos roster has not been one that people are eager to pick guys off of, so it looks like that's beginning to change.
And probably no college free agents making this team.
Yeah, at this point, I would be surprised. Mac McCain come in and I thought had a decent chance. He missed some time. He could, maybe he has a great game, but I would be surprised. Adam Prentice is probably the best shot at this point to make it, fullback. But Andrew Beck, of course, has that versatility between fullback and tight end. That means that it's probably going to be really hard for Prentice to make the team. I'm sure a couple of them will end up on the practice squad, but you're right, Phil. I think it's 16 of 17 years, 17 of 18. It's probably about to be 16 of 18 instead of 16 of 17.
Exactly. So a couple of guys there to keep an eye on for this final preseason game. Also going to see Von Miller and Cortland Sutton for the first time. So this 3rd preseason game probably worth watching.
Yeah, I would say so. Those guys should play 5 plays and be out of there.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah. I mean, Von Miller does not need preseason in my opinion. So also check out the Broncos postgame show after the game.
Could be nice.
Yeah, we'll have all kinds of different goodies in the show, highlights, analysis, interviews from right in the locker room. Locker room situation a little bit different this year, so team media allowed to go in there, so we'll be able to provide
We're the only ones.
Some exclusive content there.
Yep.
Exclusive. Eric, let's get to our favorite part of the show, shout-outs and voicemails.
That's right. We got some good voicemails this week.
Yeah.
Phil.
There was let's start with one guy who called when maybe he wasn't supposed to.
Oh.
Hey guys, I'm not going to say who it is because I'm supposed to be working right now, and you never know if your boss is part of Neutral Zone Nation. But I was looking at NFL.com and they just released a video titled "Ranking All 32 Teams by Their Wide Receiver Rooms." Just wanted to let everyone know that the Broncos placed 22nd. Not sure how that happens. Clearly, this has got to be based on total yards or something, which, obviously we could attribute to quarterback play. But where do you guys think we rank? It's definitely not 22nd. I was shocked they weren't in the top 5.
You never know who's part of NZ Nation.
Yeah, that sounded a lot like Jeff Flanagan, but it couldn't be him. We know him to be a stand-up guy, always working hard, always, busting his butt on the clock. So
he would not be listening to the show.
Certainly not calling in.
Yeah, and calling in.
No,
but maybe some people could work and listen to the Neutral Zone.
Yeah, like a nice little have work, but enjoy it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we try. We try to get you through your day.
Yeah.
Get you through your commute. Get you through your workout. Get you through the work day. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. What did you think about the question about the wide receivers?
What was the question?
Oh, you were listening carefully.
I just got lost after the boss.
You said the Broncos were rated like 20-something in wide receiving
right.
core.
Yeah. I think
that's low to me.
That is low, but a lot of the talent on the Broncos roster is based off potential.
Yep.
A lot of people to say, okay, Teddy, Drew, goodness gracious. Jerry Jeudy is set for a breakout year. He might be like a fantasy steal this year. Cortland Sutton coming back off the injury. KJ Hamler, hopefully his hamstrings, everything checks out there this season. I think there's just a lot of question marks, but they're definitely better than 22.
Yeah. Well, you're right about the potential.
Did you actually knock on wood?
Well, people are like,
exactly.
you can't just say knock on wood.
Yeah, exactly.
They were grumpy about that. Huh?
Yeah. They're definitely better than the back third of the NFL.
Right.
They've got a lot of talent.
But you're right. You have to prove it. And Cortland's coming off an injury. You don't know exactly what he'll be. Jeudy is its potential with Jerry Jeudy, with KJ Hamler. Tim Patrick is a nice complementary piece. But yeah, you look at some of these other units,
the Titans.
The
Cowboys.
Exactly. The Cowboys. You got Amari Cooper. You got CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. Like that. That's a really good room. Even I know Seattle. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf isn't like the best, maybe not the best duo in the league, but DK Metcalf is probably a better receiver than what anyone on this team has shown. And so
quarterback play plays a lot into it too. I mean, you think Russell Wilson's throwing the ball.
DK Metcalf is a beast.
To fit it in all these tiny windows, that makes the wide receivers look good.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
your guy Kenny Golladay out with the Giants.
That's going to be tough week 1, Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kenny Golladay out there playing with the Giants. Surprised that he changed teams this offseason, Eric?
No, you don't expect the Lions to franchise him, so yeah.
I think that might have been a little bit of a surprise.
Okay,
yeah. I think it might have been a surprise, Eric.
Many people miss that.
Got to pay attention to what's going on around the rest of the league.
That's
here.
right.
Eric, let's get to another voicemail. This guy, he just wanted to be on the show.
Yeah.
I think we're starting to get that kind of magnetism where people want to be a part of this energy.
They want a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Anj Patel. I just want to say I'm a huge Broncos fan, and I kind of want to be on the neutral zone. So, yeah. And tell Jerry Jeudy he's my favorite Broncos player. Thanks.
Hey, thanks for that call there. Jerry Jeudy says, "What's up?"
Yeah.
He appreciated the shout out there, and I just grabbed him when he was coming off the field. I was just like, "Hey,
this guy.
We got a big fan here calling into the neutral zone." Jerry Jeudy never misses an episode, so you got your chance there to say what's up, and he says what's up back.
That's right. Another guy who wanted a shout-out tweeted at me, at Eric Delal. You could tweet at you, too, at Phil Milani.
He didn't, though, huh?
No, not at you. Aiden Ortiz, shout-out here on the Neutral Zone. Thanks for listening.
We also had one caller who left a 5-part voicemail.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of that in Swingers. You probably never seen it.
Phil, right? This is a family podcast.
John Favreau calls on the phone, keeps getting cut off. Similar situation. We'll just play part of it here.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Gregory Haynes. I am known to you guys as the guy that made the comment regarding 50% of your fans like your intro and the 50% supposedly don't, which I can't believe that. But anyways, I'm that person. I wanted to leave a voicemail because I think you guys are great, and I wanted to, what's the word for it? Stand you up. Make sure you guys heard my voice regarding, you guys made those comments regards to haters, and that's kind of the subject of my voicemail.
We kept the intro.
Yeah.
The my everything. Some people, it's not for everybody, but
it's for us.
It's for us, and it's part of what makes the show a family.
Right.
And Z Nation understands, and maybe that saying will be on a T-shirt.
It could be.
So when it catches on and we make the T-shirt, then nobody will be doubting it.
The rest of the voicemail, the unreleased portions, kind of kept secret there. They're in the archives.
Yeah.
But he said that he called, said it was like a therapy session. Talked about what John Elway meant to him. It was emotional, man. I teared up a little bit.
I was in John Elway's office the other day. We did a little interview, and he's got a picture of John Wayne up on his office, and it says, "A man's got to do what a man's got to do."
Yep.
And underneath it said, "The Duke." I got a little emotional when just seeing that in there.
Yeah, you broke down sobbing.
Yes! That was amazing. Eric, any other shout-outs here that you'd like to get to?
Yeah, wouldn't be a show without a Liz (Manus) Gerald shout out.
Yes.
Doing some great community work.
A lot of community. They had the lunch with the legend
It's
last
nice.
week. Steve Atwater,
the
Dave
off.
Logan down at the stadium. A nice way to kick off the season, if you will. A lot of community partners down there. A lot of sponsorship stuff going on down there.
Yeah, I believe we're
they
gonna
make it possible.
Yeah, I think we're going to be packaging some backpacks next week for some
Back
kids.
packaging.
Ooh, that could be nice.
Yeah.
For some kids who need them going back to school. That I like that in particular. You know, we've talked about that before. When you're going to school, you want to. It can be difficult when you don't have.
Yeah.
You know what it takes to not only what you need, but like to fit in, and so I like that.
That first
effort.
day, everybody comes back with a lot of cool, shiny things.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, it's tough to fit in and just kind of feel confident.
Yeah,
you
good
know,
for
so-
confidence. That's true.
Yeah, yeah. So shout out to the Broncos community department. If you'd like to be a part of the show, listening, watching, there's a lot of different ways your voice could be heard, just like some of these voice mails that we just played here. 707 Neutral, Eric.
That's right. Or leave an email, neutralzoneshow@gmail.com.
Yeah, John Jordan emails all the time. Let us
Sure, we
know
love it.
where were you last week.
Yeah. We didn't play one. Jeff Flanagan,
Jeff Flanagan.
a different guy who left that other.
That was
voicemail.
not.
That was a different guy.
Yeah.
But Jeff Flanagan left us a voicemail about Brandon McManus hitting a field goal.
Yeah.
Jeff, we're not playing a voicemail about
Mid-game voicemail. Sorry, Jeff.
about mid-game preseason field
Flanagan.
goals. Sorry,
Yeah.
we're not playing that.
McManus, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe if he hits a game winner, we'll play it.
Maybe.
And you're just going crazy on the phone,
Yeah,
we'll play that.
yeah.
Okay.
We also, I think one more shout out, Phil. Brandon from Iowa,
That's true.
I believe, was at the Minnesota Vikings game. We didn't get a chance to say hello, but he tweeted at us. Thank
Shout
you
out.
for traveling out there, being loud for your Broncos. There were a bunch of Broncos fans at both the first two
In Seattle,
preseason
yeah.
games.
You said Teddy Bridgewater. He said, hey, you looked back behind him in the bench, saw a wave of orange.
Yeah.
Sea of orange. Wait.
Waves
in the sea of the orangeness.
Of the ocean of
Yeah.
orange.
Yeah, exactly. At Eric Dalala with an A on Twitter, at Phil Milani with a PH. Non-traditional spellings there,
Of
Eric.
course.
And, that's how you can get involved in the show. Or just leave a comment if you're watching here on YouTube. We'll be back next week after roster cutdowns. There's a little bit of a bye week here before the regular season gets started. And we'll look ahead to what's coming up with this Broncos season, 2021 season afoot.
We'll never leave you again, Neutral Zone.
That's going to do it for us. For Eric Dalala, I am Phil Milani. You've been listening to
The Neutral Zone.